I never thought I would be the woman telling this story, but here I am, and it is still hard to believe it happened to me. My high school sweetheart, Boris, the man I thought I knew and loved, turned out to be a stranger, a deceitful one at that. We lived in a beautiful, wealthy suburb of Dallas, where everyone seemed to have it all together, but behind closed doors, our relationship was a toxic mess. When we first started dating, Boris was my everything. He was charming, attentive, and made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. We were young and in love, and I thought our relationship was perfect. But looking back, I can see the signs were there, even back then. He had a tendency to turn every argument around and make himself the victim, and I often found myself doubting my own perceptions. As we grew older and our relationship progressed, things started to change. He bought a midlife crisis sports car, and suddenly he became obsessed with keeping it spotless. I remember thinking it was cute, how he would wash and wax it every weekend, but now I realize it was a red flag. He became emotionally distant too, always finding excuses to be away from me. He would say things like, "I am just stressed with work, honey," or "I am going through a tough time." But I knew he was hiding something. Around the same time, I noticed he started deleting his text messages and browser history regularly. I thought it was weird, but he just brushed it off, saying he was a tidy person. I let it go, but the seed of doubt was planted. Our relationship continued like this for years, with me making excuses for his behavior, and him convincing me that I was the problem. But I loved him, and I wanted to make it work. We had a child together, and for a while, things seemed to be getting better. But then, he started missing important milestones, like our child's birthday. He said it was a work emergency, but I knew something was off. That's when I started to investigate. I talked to his coworker, who seemed hesitant to share anything, but then she blurted out the truth at the company Christmas party. "He's been stealing your jewelry to give to other women," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I could not breathe. I could not speak. All I could do was sit there, trying to process what I had just heard. The room started spinning, and I had to grab onto the table to steady myself. I thought about all the times he had been working late or out with friends, and how I had always been so trusting. The next few days were a blur. I hired a private investigator to confirm my suspicions, and what he found was worse than I could have ever imagined. Boris had been siphoning money from our joint account for years, buying expensive gifts for his mistresses. The jewelry, the sports car, it was all part of his facade. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. The investigator told me that he had been using our money to buy a house for one of his mistresses. I could not believe it. He had been lying to me, cheating on me, and stealing from me for years. As I sat in my living room, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, I felt a mix of emotions. I was angry, hurt, and betrayed. But most of all, I was shocked. Shocked that I had been so blind, so trusting. Shocked that he had been able to deceive me for so long. My neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, had seen him sneaking around our house late at night, and I had ignored her warnings. I thought she was just being nosy, but now I realized she was trying to tell me something. I knew I had to confront him, but I was not sure how. I did not want to give him the chance to gaslight me, to make me doubt my own perceptions again. So, I decided to ambush him with irrefutable proof. I gathered all the evidence, the investigator's report, the bank statements, and the text messages. I was shaking as I walked into our house, but I was determined. I found him in his office playing video games on his computer. I walked in, slammed the door shut, and said, "We need to talk." He looked up, a smug expression on his face, but as he saw the look on my face, his expression changed. "What's wrong?" he asked, trying to sound concerned. "Don't lie to me," I said, my voice shaking. I know everything. I know about the jewelry, the mistresses, and the house. I know you've been stealing from me and lying to me for years." He tried to deny it, to make excuses, but I had the proof. I showed him the documents, the text messages, and the investigator's report. He was silent, his eyes wide with fear. "How could you do this to me?" I asked, my voice cracking. "How could you betray me like this?" He just shook his head, tears streaming down his face. "I am sorry," he said, but it was too late. I was done. In that moment, I realized that I had been living in a toxic relationship, and I had the power to change it. I had the power to take back control, to reclaim my life and my dignity. It was not easy, but I did it. I filed for divorce, and I started to rebuild my life. It's been a long and painful journey, but I am finally starting to heal. I am learning to trust myself, to listen to my intuition, and to prioritize my own needs. I am not the same woman I was when I was with Boris, and I am grateful for that. I am stronger, wiser, and more resilient. As I look back on our relationship, I realize that I was blinded by love. I was so caught up in the romance and the excitement of it all that I ignored the red flags. But now, I see them clearly. I see the signs of a toxic relationship, and I know that I am better off without him. I am not a victim. I am a survivor. I am a woman who has been through hell and back, but I am still standing. And I am telling my story, not to shame Boris or to seek revenge, but to empower other women. To let them know that they're not alone, that they're not crazy, and that they deserve better.